All right, what's up, guys? Happy Thursday. I guess we're doing this earlier and earlier now. What's up, Justin? How we doing, man?
What's up, Ryan? Yeah, I got a few free days for myself, so I was able to make this nice matinee, I
There
guess you
you
could
go.
call it, happen.
We got a smorgasbord of stuff going on. We're gonna get to Maryland in a second because I got a couple thoughts on Maryland, but let's go right into it. So Grayson gets traded. I'm falling asleep. Everybody's falling asleep. No one's really thinking
Uh-huh.
about the Orioles. Well, maybe we're thinking about them a little bit, but we're certainly not thinking that Grayson's going to get traded. He gets traded for a guy, Taylor Ward, that if you're following baseball, he's a familiar name. And you start looking at his stats, and you're like, all things considered, seems like a fine player, but we have to discuss him in the context of trading Grayson for him. So I got a ton of thoughts on it, but you go first. Where's your initial thought? Now you've had 2 days to digest. Where are you at with it?
Yeah, I'll give you my little breakdown. So yeah, like you, I was like falling asleep. I forget what it was a couple nights ago. And I saw it on it was Instagram or Twitter, and I was like, that looks like fake news. I'm not really gonna read into that. And then I was like, you know what, let me check other sources. And I was like, oh shit, this is actually legit. Like this is kind of it's a pretty big trade for November baseball. It's just like the off season just started, and here we go. It's like, obviously, I guess the Orioles don't think he's going to come back right. Maybe they don't trust him, and they're like, all right, let's try to get something for him at this point. Obviously, it sucks because like he's got the potential to be a great starting pitcher, which is the most important thing you need in baseball. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's frustrating when you can't stay on the field. That's like availability is like the number one skill or whatever you want to call it that you need in professional sports. You got to be available, and so if we don't think can be available, I guess we got a decent piece. I mean, we need some consistent bats that can get on base. We were lacking a lot of power last year. This guy has power.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the setback is the contract situation. Like Grayson had 4 years left. This
Right.
is Ward's last year, so what's our future plans with that? Are we gonna? I mean, I guess we'll see what happens, but
Yeah.
we don't have
So
a good track record of signing guys after contracts are up.
yeah, the good news. Well, I'll start with the good news first. So Taylor Ward we're probably going to get the best season out of him this year because this will be his last chance to make any baseball money. He'll be 32. So realistically, if he can have a really good year, similar to what he did last year, he can get a 3-year, 40, $50 million deal and ride into the sunset versus if he regresses, he might be looking at a 1-year, 6, 7, 8, $9 million deal. And because I think he's going to make 13 this year. So the reality is you are going to get, I think, the best version of Taylor Ward. Do I wish he was 29? I don't know, because when he was 29, he wasn't as good as he was when he was 31. So for that part, I don't really care.
Yeah.
As far as the years of control, well, actually, let's stay with the good news. The other piece of good news is he always plays. He's always healthy and presumably will be extremely motivated to be healthy this year for what I just said, right? He wants to get paid. And what I think the Orioles needed more than anything, and was so frustrated about the past couple of years, is the guys on the team didn't know what their roles were. Every day, it's like, hey, am I playing today or where am I batting in the lineup? And that doesn't work. It doesn't work on the long term. It might work in a short term, trying to keep people on their toes, but you got to get into a routine. So I think Taylor Ward, they'll probably decide is maybe the fifth hitter. I imagine I imagine he's going to play 150 games. Like I think he's going to not platoon. He's going to be the starting left fielder. All right, that's all the good news. Let's go to where
Well,
my eyebrows are.
I'll throw one more thing in there. Yeah, we needed a more consistent bat that, yeah, we knew it was going to be there. We knew it could get on base, have some pop. We just need someone to take a little bit of pressure off the younger guys, and I think that's a big piece of it. Obviously, we brought in O'Neill to maybe do that, but that was kind of a bust. So I don't know exactly where Hope is.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that when you get something wrong, just fix it right away. Don't try to
Which is maybe what we're doing. We're gonna have them both. Like O'Neill's on the team,
right?
Unless somehow he doesn't make the team. I don't know. But
the thing that makes me the most anxious that I haven't heard a ton of people focus on, and this is the part that makes me like I just don't love it, is where we're gonna basically give Beavers the Kjerstad game plan or the treatment, which is you get to play against some righties at some point when the matchup is right. And probably if you have a couple bad games in a row, you'll miss your next spot up in the rotation as far as like when you would be up to bat. I just feel like Dylan Beavers, Kerstad's different because it was medical, but Beavers is the type of ball player where let's just let him play 140 games next year. I don't feel like we have to win the World Series this year. Like this kind of move makes me feel like, yeah, it's Tyler O'Neill part 2, where you're now leaving it up in the air for your young stud left fielder. Not to mention that Kerstad is still going to come back and try to be relevant, but now Beavers is forced into a platoon role with Tyler O'Neill, most likely, depending on how you want to do that. And then the other part that I'm not sold on is Cowser is now, because look, you can't have 6 outfielders on the roster. So if Tavares makes the roster, which Leody Tavares, which I still think is in play, and I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the roster, they're now telling you that Cowser is the everyday starting fielder because this is the new outfielder they brought in. Versus if they would have signed somebody or made a trade for a predominantly center fielder who could also play left field, it was then going to give you a hedge more on Cowser. So a decision has clearly been made in my mind that Cowser's the starting center fielder, Taylor Ward's the starting left fielder, and now Beavers, Kerstad, O'Neill, Jeremiah Jackson, and I just don't love that.
Jackson,
yeah, and I think he can play the infield. Not that I know he can play the infield, but so that was my first thought. Now over to the Grayson piece, because to me, it's very simple. This just comes down to a disagreement on my injury and how to take care of myself, because there's just too many weird things, from the fatigue to him not wanting to talk to the media. And then when you look at the fact that he's a dominant pitcher when he's healthy, there seems to be a little bit of disagreement on what maybe the rehab process should be, whether or not he should have been out there to be out there to begin with. And this is clearly a selling low. Like it's a huge selling low, and we'll see. But like to speculate on like why this is happening, is Mike Elias? I mean, I was very critical of Mike Elias, but I don't think he thinks that he's selling high. I think it's obvious that things spread, and Grayson's not happy with Baltimore. He didn't want to talk to the media last year after being super friendly for the past couple of years. And now the Orioles trade him for an outfielder that's got 1 year left on his contract, when everybody in baseball is like, hey, that's probably a good trade for the Angels. So why'd the Orioles do it? And the Orioles did it for what you said in the first minute when you were talking, which is we need some consistency in the lineup. And that was the priority. And Grayson, look, he wasn't drafted by Mike Elias either. So they'll just move on. I'm not really, it's an incomplete grade because I need to know who we're bringing in. But yeah, I love Grayson. Yeah. I really did enjoy watching him pitch.
Yeah. So it sucks that if down the road he becomes a dominant pitcher again and is healthy, obviously it's going to hurt. But it's all that's up in the air. We didn't know if we could risk it because it's not like we have to win this year, but it's getting close. Like the next few years before players start leaving, that's the window. So I guess we're going for a little bit short term.
I definitely think you can make the argument that we're better this year with Taylor Ward than Grayson. So for that, as an Orioles fan, you can say, you know what, that we're probably a better team for 2026.
Right. And yeah, the other moves will dictate how this result is also. Like we obviously, the rest of the offseason should be focused on pitching, both starters and relievers. Like, yeah, that's where it's going to need to go. We need to sign Rogers. That's step one, hopefully.
I really want
to get some bullpen pieces.
Yeah, the closer from the Padres, I feel like would be a great fit. Yeah, he's going to cost a lot of money. All right, let's talk Maryland for a second, because they somehow won 95-90 in overtime against Mountain St. Mary's, but they signed I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but the local kid who's going to be fantastic. Yeah, there you go. So where are you at with Maryland basketball? Give me like 30 seconds on it, and then we'll get to football.
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you my 30 seconds. I don't like, obviously this entire team is new, from the coaching to pretty much every single player. So I honestly don't know that much about them right now. Obviously, I know Payne is probably our best player, and he got a gruesome injury. Although I've heard rumblings that like it might not be that bad, and he was out walking, which is great. Hopefully, it's not like a season ender, or it looked really bad. But it was nice to see them overcome that and win and beat Marquette, which is a tough spot to be in. And then, we came back a little flat, didn't play well. But then the guy drops 40 points. I don't even know who he is yet. Right. But it's all up in the air at this point. I mean, do I think they'll be a dominant team? No, but like it could be fun to see what Buzz can work these kids through and maybe kind of live on the bubble. I don't know. It's very early. So
we're going to be really good next year is my take. But they are a lot of fun. I watch a lot of college basketball. I'm watching last night. It was great. It was Arizona, UConn, Illinois, Alabama. Maryland's losing by 25 to all four of those teams. It felt like Marquette didn't play well against Dayton at home yesterday. So I don't know how great of a win it was. I think I even referenced I forgot the Cam Jones guy from Marquette left from last year. I was talking about the Tyler Klova guy from 2 years ago. Like Marquette they're not as good as they were. They've been falling a little bit. So anyway, Maryland wins 95-90, but they do get this 5-star local guy. Buzz is great. If you listen to any press conferences or the media, it's a lot different than the football program. I'm not even giving you 30 seconds on football. I cannot stand the football program. Everything about the football program, I can't stand it. The marketing, the type of guys they go after, what are we doing? We don't play like Northeast football. We're like spread off. I can't stand it. Let's talk Bills Texans here and get into the NFL because I guess we're there now, right? It's about to be Thanksgiving. We should figure out who are the best teams, who's not.
Yeah, and that just back to the Grayson thing again. Like it's November. It's very weird to even think about baseball at this point, especially with the Ravens on a roll and back in the mix. Like my brain's on football and the Ravens. So like, did I care? Sure, but honestly, not that much at this point. I'll care more in a few months.
We'll get to the Ravens. We'll finish with the Ravens. I want to start with the rest of the NFL because what I was about to say is it's usually the time of the year where you start to figure everything out. Except this year in the AFC, any take's a hot take. Like I'm open. Like I feel like the conservative take is that the Bills are the best team, and I just don't believe that. But I don't know who the best team is. I want to start with the game tonight, and then we're gonna get some big picture thoughts from you. We'll get your 5 picks, and then we'll do the Ravens. But tonight's game is. I really think it's a big game. Sometimes we see two teams play each other, and it's like, oh, this is everybody can say it's a big game. And I try not to do that in the regular season, but I cannot figure out this Bills team. This means I think the Texans are cooked. Whether or not they win tonight is going to be irrelevant to me. I don't see the Texans making a run. I'm trying to figure out who can make a run. The Bills need to win this game. Last year, Buffalo went to Houston. They malfunctioned with the play clock at the end of the game. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like terrible clock management. Basically gave the game away, and the Texans won.
What I remember is like they didn't score like at all. Allen was terrible,
and they still had a chance to win the game.
It was low scoring.
It was very low scoring. This Texans defense is one of the top 2, 3, 4 defenses. The Bills are favored by 5.5 tonight. I guess Stroud's still not going to play.
Correct. He's out.
You've been down on the Bills, so I'm imagining you're going Texans tonight.
Yep, I'm not shying away from it. The Bucks were covering last week for 50 minutes of that game. I don't know what the fuck happened in the last 10 minutes.
Josh Allen is what happened to him.
Well, yeah, obviously Allen is great. But yeah, no, you kind of led me into it. I'm going with the Texans. I think they can win this game. It's such as Mills. I'd be more confident if it was Stroud because Stroud is a solid player, at least at home. Mills, I don't know how good he really is. They barely beat the Titans, so that's literally not a quality win at all. But yeah, like you said, their defense is very good. I think they can 100% keep them in this game and keep it within the number at the very least of +6. I could see it being a kind of an ugly game. The Bills' defense is garbage. So maybe the Texans pull off some plays, and Nico Collins could have a huge game. I don't think the Bills are going to stop any decent teams.
The Bills dropped the ball this year. They really should have made a couple trades, at least something. I don't know what they could have done, what exactly was available, but offensively, they need another receiver. Like I know.
And speaking of receiver, they're having some locker room issues with Keon Coleman. He's not playing again tonight. Something's happening with him.
They're probably better off with it. They're probably better off. Allen does better with guys like, I don't know. Keon Coleman's never open. It's like jump balls with him. I feel like Allen does better when he's scrambling. Some smaller guys, he can just. Plus, he's got this.
I don't know what Kincaid's deal is. He was out last week. He's
Yeah.
a big target for Allen. Yeah, offensively there, but yeah. Besides Allen, it's weird. Obviously, they have a great running game. Cook's been good, but yeah, I don't trust Buffalo that much.
Because the Broncos don't play this week, I wanted to talk about the Broncos for a second because the Chiefs we can get to. That seems to get all the headlines. Are the Broncos playing like a team where, okay, that's Super Bowl DNA to you because they're finding ways to win? Or is this a team that is losing in the first round of the playoffs?
It's very the AFC especially is very weird this year because all these top teams that are you could call them the best, they're playing the best this year. Doesn't mean anything come playoff time sometimes, but yeah, between the Broncos, the Colts, and the Patriots, these teams have been irrelevant for years, and all of a sudden they are back. It gives me pause, especially when you talk about big games and playoffs and these quarterbacks. A couple young ones. Daniel Jones has been all over, and sometimes looks great, and sometimes look awful. So, like, is anyone really going to trust them down the road to like say, oh, for sure, this team's going to run it through the AFC? I personally don't. Some people might, but I feel like teams need to kind of earn that along the way. Like the Chiefs obviously have been there. Even the Chiefs at the beginning, they needed to go through the Patriots. They lost the first time, and then they finally broke through. It's really been on the Bills and Ravens to like make that next step because no one's done it besides the Chiefs. So I just don't see it down the road. Those three teams I mentioned making that sort of run, but again, they are playing the best. And the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs. Ravens and Chiefs. I mean, I think the Ravens end up winning the division, but Chiefs very well could even miss the playoffs. So, like, if they're not there, it's even more wide open. It's very interesting this year, like across the board. If Vegas put up the AFC odds, I haven't looked at them lately, but it's probably pretty even across the 6 teams I mentioned.
Yeah, I think the Broncos are playing like a team that when you keep winning these games, because the Bucks stopped winning those games, and I think that means something. So it doesn't mean nothing to me that defense is really good. What about the game that really I wonder if you have the same take because the Seahawks are going to play the Titans this week. That's my favorite game. I was going to bet the Seahawks minus 47.5. That's what the number came. So I will do 13.5 gladly. I will put them in teasers. I'll bet they're over total points. The way their defense kept giving Darnold a chance was the biggest story to me last week. When I look big picture, because I said before the game that I thought the Seahawks and the Rams were the two best teams. And then I had the Rams last week, and I'm like, oh, Rams are up. This is Darnold's turn.
Yeah, they scored 14, like first 2 drives, maybe.
But the Seahawks defense was like, holy shit. McDonald's got, and he just shipped out a couple players that he didn't like, put in a couple guys he did like. Nothing was really dramatic as far as additions. Some would argue even traded what was considered better players, but guys that didn't fit the system. Anyway, the defense looks fantastic. I came away thinking, man, the Rams didn't have a killer instinct. That made me nervous. And I feel like it's going to be Eagles, Seahawks are my 2 favorite teams now in the whole NFL because the Eagles just keep winning. But I was wondering if you felt the same way about the Seahawks.
Well, so, yeah, let me just caveat. That game was during the Ravens game, so I'll be honest, I didn't really watch much of the Seahawks-Rams game. But I heard about it afterwards. All I know is Rams were up early. Seahawks came back, and they had a chance to win on a 60-yarder. I'm actually just looking at the stats now, and Seahawks dominated. Stat-wise, Darnold just threw 4 picks.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a difference in the game.
Yeah.
Because, the Seahawks only allowed, 240 yards, 12 first downs. Stafford did not have a good game.
It was pretty ridiculous how Darnold just kept giving the game away. All right, we got about 5 to 10 before I got to let you run. Where are we at? All right, let's see. 5-5. The only team in the world that the Ravens could have beat. I do think Ohio State would have beaten us last week, but luckily we got to play the Clowns, who substituted Dylan Gabriel for Shedeur Sanders, who essentially gave us the game. So that was great. I'm really proud of the fact that we won the game. Tyler Lute made a bunch of field goals. Big picture, I come away from that game being like, you know what? This defense is not doing a good enough job against the run. They started to be a little bit better a few weeks ago, but maybe it was a product that we weren't going up against a really good running attack. My biggest worry for the Ravens, and I'm worried about it this week, especially if Lamar is hobbling around, is the Jets have a decent running game. Like they're going to be able to run the football. Tyrod Taylor is going to be the quarterback. We're not stopping the run. We knew the Browns couldn't throw the ball. The Browns are the most predictable running team now in the entire league. They can't throw the ball. They refuse to throw the ball down the field. And yet Judkins has had a lot of holes, and it didn't remind me of the Lions game because that was a nightmare. That was the worst game I think I've seen in a long, long, long time. Yeah. But it was just pretty easy for the Browns to move the football. So that was my biggest worry. I have no worries about Lamar. I have no worries about the offense. I just don't think it was the environment where we were really pushing it, and people have bad games. But I am worried about the defense because I don't know how it's going to get better stopping the run.
So, yeah, the defense overall has definitely looked better than it was the first month of the season over the past month. I agree the run defense is a little concerning, but players are gonna. Judkins is a great player. He's gonna find holes and make some big runs. I'm actually looking back at the stats. Like when watching it, eye test, it didn't look great, but he only went 17 for 59. That's not anything crazy. It's 3.5 for pop, and especially against the Browns team, that's not going to kill you because, like you said, they're not going to pass the ball for any sort of. Jesus, Sanders was 4 of 16. They're not going to do anything downfield. So, but again, it's kind of a balanced team approach. Like the offense was not doing anything. Just like the Vikings game was a little better, but still the defense kept us in and won us this game. I mean, the Browns only scored off turnovers, which were the offense's fault, besides if you call that special teams offsides, whatever you want to blame that on, defense or offense, but that also cost 3 points. So literally the Browns scored, 3 points against their defense, I would say? And not that they're a great offense at all, and our defense is going to have to prove it against better offenses down the
How do you see this week
rest of the season and in the playoffs? So what?
How do you see this week playing out with the Jets coming to town?
I'm not really scared. Breece Hall is a good running back, and he can make some plays, but is Tyrod Taylor really gonna beat you? I don't think so. I am a little concerned about the offense. The O-line we know is a problem, and it's probably the worst part of our team. And we just, especially in the red zone, we can't create anything. Lamar doesn't have enough time. He's clearly not 100%. He's not that confident in his running right now. And yet we just, I don't know. It's a little concerning this week. We're not making these big plays.
What I was going to say is the reason I'm not as concerned about the offense is because I feel like Lamar plays down to the competition in certain situations. And I also feel like that Cleveland defense is unbelievable.
It's good. Yeah.
That Schlesinger guy making 1 million tackles, and Garrett I think he just completely fucked Lamar's. I mean, how many times you got to turn around and that guy's just stared at you? So it made it harder. And I don't know. I'm not as concerned. I'm a little concerned about this week, though. I feel like this is one of those games where I'd like to see us make sure it's not close at the end. Just the Jets have nothing to lose, and Tyrod Taylor is trying to stay in the league. It's a defensive coach, and I just imagine they're going to do some weird, funky things on defense to try to get Lamar. So it would be nice for Lamar to have a good couple of drives to start the game. If he's going to play, I was against him playing last week. If we're going to have lower body injuries to Lamar in November, let him just sit, because we're not going to win the Super Bowl anyway if he's not 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we don't really know the extent of these injuries. Obviously, he was out with the hamstring, and last week was the knee concern, and now it's the ankle.
Yesterday it's the ankle, right? So
yeah, you never know. Obviously, if it really was not good, Huntley would be able to win this game. But yeah, we don't really we're not privy to that information. But it would be nice to see our offense kind of start well one of these games, because it's been slow out of the gate the past few.
I agree.
Even against the Dolphins, we had a great second half, but yeah, it's just something going on. And I haven't seen the report. I assume Bateman's still out.
Yeah, he hasn't really been at the top of my mind. I like every time Tylan Wallace, when I'm watching the game and I see Tylan Wallace in the huddle, I'm like, oh, I like him. I wish he was getting more snaps. All right, I got 5 minutes for you. Give me your 5 picks. I know last week wasn't you're not writing home. You're not quitting your job over last week's pick, but
last week was good. Yep. All right. Well, we started off talking about Thursday night games, so that's gonna be one of mine. Going Texans +6. Like I said, yeah, their defense I think will keep them in this game. I think it's going to be close. I've said it every week on this podcast. I feel like that I'm not impressed by the Bills. I don't think they're anything special. And yeah, so pretty much taking Texans. That's my first one. Then we roll over to Steelers-Bears, which is an interesting game here. The Bears just keep finding ways to win these close games, it seems. And I feel like Caleb Williams gets a lot of shit, but from what I saw, he obviously makes some dumb plays and could be better. But from when the Ravens played them, I thought he was a really good passer. He's got some zip on his ball. He's a lot of accurate passes. I think the Bears win this game. I don't know. Obviously, I think the Steelers said they're deciding on Rodgers tomorrow. I don't think it's a big difference either way, whether it's Rodgers or Rudolph. I don't think their offense is very good either way. And the Steelers on the road, I don't think they're not very good. So I'm taking the Bears. And then we'll scroll down to this might be my favorite of the week. The Lions seem to be in this back and forth pinball thing where they don't look great one week and then they come out pissed off and look awesome the next week. I think this is a spot for them. I think they annihilate the Giants by maybe 21. I think the Giants are done. The Lions need to start stringing some wins together. They're back home. I think they put up about 40 points.
The only thing I don't like about the game is the only thing I don't like about the Lions, one way or the other. Same thing with the Packers. Same thing with all the teams that are going to play on Thanksgiving. It's a little. Don't know what the mindset is.
That's fair. Didn't really
not that I know what the mindset is every other week with these guys, but it's a little thinking about the Thursday game. Plus, the Lions do play the Packers on Thanksgiving, but it is Jameis Winston against a really pissed off defense, and the Lions. The Lions defense played great against the Eagles. So
right. Yeah, that was very frustrating. I like the Lions. It was pretty frustrating to see them keep going for it over and over and not get it. I get it. In some cases, it was fine, but other cases, their defense is playing well. Eagles' offense is not good. Just punt it.
He's so committed to it. It's he's so committed to it. I remember being down on Dan Campbell his first year because of the preseason. I was watching a preseason game. I forget exactly what he did, but it was one of the worst time management decisions I've ever seen. It was so bad that I said,
what were you doing watching preseason?
That's a story for another day, probably. But I'm never betting on a Dan Campbell team because I can't do as when you're betting a lot of money on the games, you have to make certain rules, especially if you've been doing it for a long time, because you just get scarred. Like the Falcons, for example, they're just a non-bet because you just will have anxiety for 3.5 hours. You can't enjoy the game because the Falcons have no idea how to manage the clock. They just will do so many stupid things. And I remember being like, Dan, I got that one right about Dan Campbell, because every Dan Campbell game, if it's a close Lions game, you're just on the edge of your seat because he's always going to go for it. And that was one of those games where it's like, dude, can you read the room? The Eagle, just let your defense play, but whatever. That's what you wanted to do. All right, you got Lions -10.5. Sorry.
Lions is the third one. Yep, and then I agree with you on that Seahawks-Titans game. Obviously, big line for a road team, but I think the Titans are the worst team I've seen in a few years in this league. And I think the Seahawks come out pissed and ready to right the ship again. And so I agree with you. I think they could destroy them. So I'm taking the Seahawks.
They're going to get a college coach. I bet you they hire some college coach who loves Cam Ward and maybe
they should kind of revamp that stuff.
They need new energy. And your
last. And then the last game, I'm going with the Chiefs. I still don't like I kind of alluded to at the beginning. I don't fully trust any of these new teams coming in. The Chiefs, this is pretty much a must-win game. At home. Yeah, I think they win this game. And obviously the spread is, if you just look at it, Colts 8-2, Chiefs 5-5. I mean, everyone who knows football knows the Chiefs are still a good team. So I'll take the Chiefs -3.5.
You know, it's
I thought they'd win last week against the Broncos, and they didn't.
Well, go check your picks. I'm gonna do it when I get a minute later. I think this is there's no way you go 4 favorites. You're always looking for underdogs. So for you,
you're right. Lions, I noticed that too. But I got 4 favorites this week.
Lions and the Seahawks are the two. That's the only 2 big favorites. Cowboys Eagles is only 3-point spread. Can't wait to watch that game.
Yeah, because the Eagles are very frustrating. they're obviously have a really good defense, but their offense is very lackluster, and they keep winning these low-scoring games. They gotta lose one of these soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna end the
So if I
pod.
had to pick that one, I'm taking Dallas. It's a very small spread.
I'm gonna end
But
the pod.
Dallas 100% needs to keep winning.
Yeah, they definitely do. But yeah,
It's an intriguing game for sure.
We definitely we're definitely in the season where there's a lot less that you knew than you did the previous few years, especially in the AFC. So that'll make it more interesting. I got out of here at the right time. So I gotta let you run. Go do your thing. Thanks again for joining me in the morning time. We'll figure out next week one way or the other. I'll put out your picks. I'll be back tomorrow. Good luck tonight. I'm gonna have a handful of bets on this game tonight because I think you and I see this game a little bit differently. We'll see how it plays out. All right, man. Have a good night.
All right, man. Yeah. Have a good night, good weekend, and enjoy the football.
All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.